Alright, hi guys. Welcome to episode 1 of the series today. And today I'm going to teach you guys how to make a hat mod in Final Fantasy XIV. Um, this is actually my second take of this video, so really I'm just going to try to keep this like more fast-paced, if you will. Or just like, not like super fast, but just enough to kind of get to the point. But before we start, I kind of want to just talk about like a few resources that we're going to need for this series, and you can use these to. These are going to be the main tools, and also just places where you can get some models if you haven't already made one yourself, or if you just like kind of want to do some silly ports or whatever. So, anyways, the first thing you're going to need is Textools. This is just the main um, tool that we're going to use to import items into Final Fantasy XIV from Blender. So you can just download it from the Text Tools button right here, and you can just install that. The next thing you're going to need is, we're going to go to Quick Launcher first. So Quick Launcher, if you don't already have this, it's great. Basically just allows you to launch the game more fast without using the native launcher for the game. But really the big thing that allows this is it allows us to use plugins for the game, which we need for mods, obviously. So if you've already used mods before, you're probably very familiar with this. But if for whatever reason you don't have this, I just would strongly recommend getting this. Otherwise, you probably won't be able to use mods without it. So you can just get it, the latest release right here, and just install that. It's very easy. The next thing you're going to need is the Penumbra plugin, and we need this because this is what allows us to install mods while inside of the game. And you can just get the install settings are right here. You can just read this, and then we also have the repo, which you'll need as well, which is right here. You can just copy and paste it. The next thing I also wanted to point out is this Rennie guide card. Basically what this is it just tells you all these, it gives you like a lot of tutorials for like installing mods in Penumbra, redrawing collections, basically just like a head start, getting a head start on doing mods within the game, if you guys are new to it. So I definitely would check this out if you are new to mods or modding in general. It just basically will give you a lot of good information that you'll need to know. So definitely check this out if you don't really know too much about modding. And then these next 4 sites, these are just a few places for like 3D models that I want to talk about. So the first is DeviantArt. This is obviously mainly like a art website, but they also do host a lot of extracted assets on here, or MMD models, or just any kind of 3D models in general. So for this tutorial, I did want to focus on like some persona models, but not this one in particular, but I just still wanted to show it because, DeviantArt hosts a lot of 3D models. So you can search in the bar up here, whatever you're looking for, and then like 3D model, and hopefully you can find what you're looking for. Next we have the Atom Archive. And this basically is just a archive list of game rips and extractions. There's a ton of mega links, so if there's a certain game you're looking for, there's a giant file list here. I'm not going to go through all of these, but you get the point. There's also some extraction guides if you're interested in ripping from a certain game. And yeah, so definitely just check this out if there's a certain game you're looking to extract models from. And then lastly, here's another site that uploads models as well. This is Models Resource. This is really good for beginners, just who kind of want to like get into the world of 3D. There's a lot of Nintendo games, especially, I've noticed on here. So if there's a certain console you're looking for, you can just go there and you can view whatever games they have available. They are a little bit limited in certain models, but they definitely have some of the more popular ones, if you will. So definitely check this out if there's any mods, or I'm sorry, not mods, any models that you want on here. I mean, there's a bunch of hats, so that's a little bit related to the tutorial today. So definitely just check it out. And yeah, so I just wanted to show those. This last link was just, I'm going to use a model from Persona 3 Dancing in Moon Knight. So I will also link this Tumblr page, and this is basically an archive of all the models from that game, and there's a link right here to the Dropbox for it. So if you guys are interested in any Persona 3 Dancing models, or Persona 5 or Persona 4, they're all in here. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be using today. So again, all of these links I'm going to include in the description of the video. And yeah, so the next step, we're going to go head on over to Blender. Alright, so now that we're in Blender, we're just going to open a new general file, and it'll just be like this. We can press A and then X. A is select all, and then X is to delete. And then after that, we basically just want to import whatever item or hat we're modding into the game. So for this tutorial, I'm just going to use this crown here because there's basically two types of hats in this game. There's ones that just kind of sit on your head, kind of just like this one. But then there's also, like, for example, like the calf skin rider hat. This like obstructs, like, you know, like half of your head. So I'm not gonna do like a hat tutorial, like this kind of hat. You could use this if you're trying to make an actual hat. You'd want to import something like this. Like if you're doing like a beanie or another like kind of baseball cap like this, you'd want to replace like this hat. But for me personally, I'm going to use the crown because I'm just making something that is going on top of my character's head for this tutorial. But you can still basically use everything I'm showing you, and you should get to the same end result because it's generally the same process. So first, we're going to want to save this. Just save this as an FBX. It's like the standard 3D model type that we're going to be using. I already had it exported, but I'm just going to press yes to export it again. And then next, we're just going to import the model from where it was exported from. So really quick, if you actually want to find it, we can click this folder icon, and it's going to go to the path of where it was extracted, which for me is in my documents folder. So really quick, I'm just going to I am going to do Control-C to copy this path. And then in Blender, I'm going to go File, Import, FBX. I'm going to paste this path, and then press Enter. And now, boom, we're right at this FBX that we need. I'm going to do Import, and then there we go. We have our crown right here in Blender. And we're pretty much like one step done. The next thing I would highly recommend doing is getting your whatever character you're playing as. I would recommend extracting their face and then like their haircut, just so you can kind of get a good idea and line everything up with the model. So I play as Male Aura personally, so I'm just gonna do the Midlander face because Male Aura is like a Midlander based character, if you will. So we can just use the Midlander as a base. So I'm just gonna go ahead and save this as an FBX. Press yes, because I already extracted it before. And then we're also just gonna go grab the hair as well. We're going to click this, save this as an FBX as well. And we'll just let this load. It's probably going to spin around, yep. Okay, cool. So, just like we did with the crown, I'm going to import FBX. And since we're still in this pathway to Textools, I'm just going to go up a few arrows. And we're just going to go to characters, are saved in the character folder. And then face. And then since I'm doing the Midlander male, I'm going to go here I think I'm in the wrong area, sorry. Give me 1 sec. I'm just gonna use this because it's easier. I apologize. Alright, so again, import FBX. Just gonna press enter. We got the hair, boom. And then we're gonna just go back to the face. And this one's located under this path. Control C to get that. File, import FBX, boom, get that. And then we have the face. Alright, awesome. So we don't really need these bones, so don't delete them, but for now we can just press H to hide them. And we can also hide these bones as well, and these ones. So just H on all those bones to hide them. And again, the reason why I'm importing this face is just so that I can get a better idea of where the hat's gonna sit on top of this character's head. So next thing really quick, just to stay organized, we're gonna make some collections. You can see all this stuff is already in one collection. So I'm gonna make another one. I'm gonna drag this out of there because it was inside this collection. Just gonna name this face/hair. And then if you see these three, Met means like helmet or like hat. Met, FAC is like face, and then HIR is hair. So if that helps you just kind of get a better idea of what those are what those little abbreviations mean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the top of the face one, this empty right here, all the way down to hair. And you can see we have all this highlighted. And all I'm going to do is just drag and drop all that into face and hair. And then boom, look. Now we can untoggle and toggle this just whenever we need it. So just do that. And yeah, I'm going to make one more collection. And you can name this like whatever your hat is. I'm going to use, I was going to do Junpei. I'll do Minato today because that's the mod I want to work on. So we can hide our skeletons again. And yeah, so the next step, let's just import our model. So yeah. Alright, so for the next part, we're going to import our FBX model. So I'm going to go to import FBX, and personally I have an FBX file, but if you don't, there's other formats right here that you can use if you have like an older model, but most models should be in FBX format. But if for whatever reason they aren't, you can always just try looking up any kind of plugin to get whatever format you need going. So we'll do FBX, and then sorry, just one moment. My model is going to be this one. So I want to use this one. So I'm going to import it. And then you can see that we now have this armature here. We really don't need this. This basically is just going to move the model and follow it. But for the mod, we don't want to use this armature. We want to use the Final Fantasy one. So all I'm going to do is go into pose mode. Well, I'm going to explain why in a sec. If we literally just try to delete the armature, the mod's going to like blow up. So what we want to do is go into pose mode, press A to select all the bones, clear all, like just like this. So pose, clear transformation, all. And we also, since it's in like T-pose already, or like T-pose, I say, we just also want to do apply this pose as the rest one, and also apply this pose as the selected, this will apply selected as rest pose as well. So now if we press tab to go back, to go back to object mode here, we press X, delete it. Now he's not like blowing up when we get rid of the armature, which is exactly what we want. So basically now with your model, you want to basically separate the parts to one material each. So if you see this little guy, he has meshes, just the regular mesh, but then he also has outlines as well. So if you are working with a more cartoony model and has outlines, combine all the outlines together and then combine the regular mesh separately. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click all the regular mesh. I'm going to hit Control J just like that. And then I'm going to do every outline. So outline, 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 outline. Control J. Oops, seems I forgot just one. So Control J. And then now, here's the thing. We really don't want all of these materials. We want to collapse them all into one. If your model has like 20 materials, I'm not exactly sure if it's going to work. All I can say is that most of my mods are either like 1 or 2 materials. 3 and 4 might be pushing it, but I know it's possible. The point I'm trying to get to is you want to have as little materials as possible. So my character is only going to have 2 materials total. All of these body materials are the exact same. It's just the parts were separated, so that's why they each had 1 material. So all I'm going to do is when I delete these, it should automatically go to just this one, and it's vice versa with this one with the outline. So I'm going to do that. If you have an outline, the way to get that to work is you want to do camera and shadow, and that should turn on the culling and make it work in material mode. Boom, just like that. So you can see it's got the thick black outlines. You don't need to do the camera or the culling with camera and shadow on just the base material. So for the outline, I'm just going to quickly change this to an emission, just because that's all it needs to be, like straight up. And then for this one, if you want to make your model not pink and have a texture, we can quickly just go to the shading tab. We're going to zoom in on our little guy right here. And you can see we have the node wrangler right here. This is basically just the shader. You shouldn't need to change this. But here is like where our image would be. So if we press this X button, we can unlink this data block, is what it's saying. And now we can put our texture in here so that we can see it in Blender. So really quick, I'm going to navigate to where my texture is. So for me, it should be right here. And then there we go. He's all good to go. So now we can see him. And if you want, you can also set up your normal map here and all that stuff. I'm personally not going to go over that in my tutorial right now, just because right now we're just doing a simple hat, but this is where you do that if you have a metallic channel, if you have your roughness. This is basically where it would all go. But definitely I would advise using Google or YouTube to find out like how to actually use those nodes properly. But again, just for the sake of the tutorial, I'm only going to use this one for now. So we're going to head back to layout. And now, how do we make this guy a hat? So basically, we've got both of our meshes ready to go. So I'm going to turn back on these so that we can see our like character's head. And now I'm going to take my modded mesh, and I'll use this gizmo, or you can use G, whatever you prefer. But I'm going to use this up arrow. And basically, all we're going to do is we're going to try to line him up wherever we want our hat to be. And again, to scale it, I'm just going to press S and then move my mouse like inward. And we're just basically going to get him to like a however we want it. And for your hat, if you want to just place it directly on your character's head, you can do that. This is basically, at this time, this is where you would customize this to however you want your hat to look like, basically. So I'm going to just kind of adjust it, and we'll go from there. Alright, so now that he's nice and placed on the head where I want him to be, we basically can minimize, or we can turn off the face and hair collection. And then I want to direct your attention to the crown again. So basically what we want to do now is get our little hat to move with the crown's armature, which is these bones. So really quick, we need to match the vertex group. So this little data, like a green triangle thing, basically these, if it has a vertex group, it basically is going to match whatever bone name to that vertex group. So if you see, really quick, this crown, look, it has J cow, which it, like, means head. I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong about that. But basically, if you click it and click select, all these vertices are parented to that vertex group. So whenever I move this bone, it's gonna move. So we basically just want to do that just for the hat. So really quick, sorry, I gotta turn on my headset again. For these two meshes, for right now, I'm just gonna combine them with Control J, and we'll separate them later. I'll show you guys how. But basically, we want to use J_cow, so it's matching the crown. Yep, same name. And then we're gonna press Tab. So we're gonna go and be in edit mode, and I'm just gonna quickly go to the solid mode. Press A to select all the vertices, and we're gonna assign it to J_cow, just like that. And we can press Tab to go back to object mode, and we should be good. So now we just want to get him onto the same armature as the crown. So to do that, we can add a modifier for the armature. So we do add modifier, and you just do search, and then we just get armature. And to grab it, I personally just like to use the eyedropper tool, and we can click the armature right here. So now it is under object and root, just like this crown is. And then we can basically just drag this out of the Minato collection. We don't need that anymore, so we can delete it. I can put it in the crown collection now, and then by holding left click and then holding shift, we can parent it to this armature. So look, now he's following the armature. And if I press Control Tab to go to pose mode, you can see when I rotate the head, now is working just like the crown is. So we're basically almost done. At this point now, what I like to do is we can get rid of the crown mesh. But before we do that, I'm going to copy its name. So double click the name just with your left click, and then Control C. And then next, I'm going to delete the crown because we don't need it anymore. So we press X, and I'm going to do Control V to paste. And now we have the same name as the crown. You don't have to have the same exact name, like, verbatim, but I usually just do it because it's kind of easier to work with. So now we can press Tab, and at this point, we want to make sure we separate each part by material. So again, let's do Tab, click P, and we'll separate it by material. And then we basically just have the outline separated, and we have the body separated. So for each different material, we need to make it have a part numbered differently. So for the main body, I'm going to have that as part 0 as the first part. And then for the outline, since it's using a different texture, this is just going to be part 1 period 0 or 1.0. So that should be good. You have to make sure you do that. Otherwise, Textools is not going to know, like, what is what, essentially. So, yeah. That's all we have to do here. And then one last thing. I'm going to press A. Or, I'm sorry. I'm just going to select Control click. So, I'm going to click left click, hold Control, then left click again. So, I selected, sorry, both of these. Press Tab, then press A. And if your faces are not triangulated, you need to make sure you do that, because if they are quads, so like just squares, and they're not triangles like this, Textools won't allow it. So you have to make sure you go to face and you do triangulate faces. You can do Control T if you need to do that. So just make sure you do that before you export your model now. So my model's all good to go. So all I have to do is just press A to select all. You don't even need to, but I just do it just in case. But yeah, you press A, and we're going to do File, Export, and then we just export this as a FBX. And you can just do any of the default settings, and I would just export to wherever you'd like. So you just hit FBX, and then yeah, you're pretty much good to go. I'll see you guys in Textools in just a moment. Alright, so now that we're back in Textools, I know I didn't say this already, but make sure your system state is unsafe mode. The reason why we want it like that is because then we can modify the files. So I apologize I didn't say that prior, but just make sure it's in unsafe mode and you should be good. So before we import our model, we should make 2 new materials really quick, just so that we don't have to do it later. So we're gonna make 2 new materials because our model has 2 materials total. So first thing I'm gonna do is go to the Materials tab. We're gonna click New Material. You can give it whatever suffix you'd like. I'll do B. And then I am going to load a preset. And personally for my model, there is all of these different types of material types you can use. Personally, I would recommend either using diffuse mask, or diffuse mask, or specular. A lot of older mods personally use this specular setup because that's how the old materials worked. And for what I'm doing, it's really all I need. So I'm personally going to opt for this option, especially because I don't have a mask texture in my model. I only have 2 textures, so I'm going to opt for this. And then also, I would recommend using load color set so that it clears this old color set right here. We don't want the old one to be used, so that our model isn't like discolored when we import it into the game. So you can just do load. And then last thing, I usually just make textures unique so that it just kind of makes everything like the default, makes them just, it like clears any of the old textures used. And then I'm just going to press save to XIV, and then it's saved, so I can exit out. And now you can see we have our second material, just like that. I'm going to do the same thing just one more time. So we're going to do C, create, load preset, specular, make sure we do load color set, load, make textures unique, and then we are just going to save. And we can exit out. You can see now we have both our things right here, just all these textures. These are just blank because we'll fill them in as we go. And yeah, you should be good to go. So now we can import our model. So if I go to load, and then we go to wherever we saved our FBX, I did it in download. So I'm going to do the Minato topper. And then before we do anything else, we want to make sure we just open editor. And then we're just going to, basically at this point, so if you recall in Blender, we made part 0 and part 1, right? So if we go to root node 0 and root node 1, you can see up here it's changing. So root node 1 is part 1.0, number 0 is part 0.0. So all we want to do is just assign the correct material to each of these. So we don't want to use material A because that is the little lady crown base. So we're going to give this one B, like that blank material we just made for part 0. And then for part 1, we're going to give it material C. So just like that, that's all you have to do. And we just hit confirm and then close. So now we can see our untextured models right here, and he's ready to be textured. So for my model, I only have basically two textures. I only have the diffuse, and I also have the the black outlines. So for this one, I'm just going to load the texture for him. Should be this one right here. So that's good. So I'm going to press save now. Save to XIV. I can leave the normal. And then since I don't really want my models to be like have any shine to it or anything, I'm going to make this specular just a black texture. But if your model has a specular texture, you can definitely use this texture space. And I also don't have an index file. Those are more specific to Final Fantasy itself. There should be an option to make a index texture creator. So if you go to Tools, and then you go to Dawntrail Upgrades, you can literally make an index texture right here. So if you need that for whatever reason, it is right there. I'm going to personally also just load this up as a black texture. And then since this one is the outline, I will use the texture again. So I'm going to press save. Normal was fine. I'm going to load up the specular. Basically at this point, all you're doing is just assigning these textures to make sure your model looks right. Press save. So these are all good. So if we come back here, he's all nice and textured and ready to go basically. So if I hit save, you should be good to go. At this point, all we want to do is export our mod, and then we can go test them in game. So exporting mods is really simple. If we just go to mods and we create a mod pack, we can do it from items, you can do it from loose files, you can do advanced. This is whatever you prefer. I usually just do one at a time, so I'm just going to do from items. It's going to load the item list, and we're going to search little lady for the lady crown, select item, all files, and we hit confirm. And then we'll just do final review, name this whatever you'd like, and then we're going to hit the create mod pack button. We'll save it, and you should be good to go. At this point, I would suggest hitting start over on Textools so that we can basically clear all the files, so that when we reopen the game, it doesn't give us any errors, because this version of Textools is on our Final Fantasy setup basically. So I'm just gonna hit start over and hit yes, because we already saved the mod because we exported it, so it's not really an issue. So I'm just gonna let this do its thing, and yeah, we'll just let it load the item list, do whatever it needs to do. So now it is cleared back, it's completed, and you can see if we go to a manage mod list, we have nothing there, and we're all good to go. So I will see you guys back on Final Fantasy, where we will test our mod. Alright, so now we're in game. All you have to do from this point is we're just going to open up Penumbra. You can type /Penumbra in the chat, or sorry, /Penumbra in the chat to open it up. And we would navigate over to the mod section. And all we're going to do is we're just going to import mods. And then I sort this by date. And then I'm going to click the mod that I just exported from Textools. I'm going to hit OK. And it should successfully import. And all you do now is press enable, and then we want to redraw ourself. So there you go, pretty much. That should be all you need. You can see I've got my little thing, my Persona 3 protagonist topper custom hat in the game, fully working, and that should be all you need. If you guys have any questions regarding this, please just let me know in the comment section below. But I hope you guys find this video helpful. If you guys would like to see a specific hat or mod, please just like make a comment in the description if you guys need help. I'll try to add some way to contact me in the description, whether it's like Twitter or Discord or anything like that. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll be making some more in the upcoming weeks, so please just stay tuned for what's coming next. I appreciate it. Thank you guys.